Please listen to what I'm about to say. Moving in with your boyfriend or girlfriend is a huge decision, and it's not one that should be made just because of a convenience, or we're already spending so much time together, we're already having sleepovers every night. Why not just move in together? And I'm gonna go through what I've learned, because I definitely did not take my own advice, and I moved in with my now fiance after only 6 months of knowing him. I've learned a lot of things along the way. So a lot of things that could have been avoided, but at the end of the day, it's gotten me to where I am today. I've learned so much. I'm very thankful for my fiance, thankful for my relationship, and I'm so happy that it all worked out. If you want to know what you should know before moving in together, I've actually created like this fun little game that you can play with your man or with your girl. It's a really fun little game where you just go back and forth asking each other questions, and I will link that down below. Anyways, let's get into it. So what should you know? First thing is, you should know who the person is, who the person hangs out with. You should know their family. You should know all of these things before moving in with someone. I just saw a case recently of someone that was married to a man that was a serial killer, and she didn't know. She had divorced, remarried, and just gone on with her life, forgotten about this man, and the FBI went to her asking questions, and that's how she realized that she was married all that time to a serial killer. I would literally die. I would literally die. But it just goes to show that it's really important to know who you are living with. What do they like? What do they not like? What are they like when they get angry? What type of communication style do they have? What do they need when they're upset? What is it that upsets them? These are all things that you learn about someone as you are dating, and as you get to know someone, and as you have fights here and there or disagreements. In my case, I moved in with my boyfriend after just 6 months of knowing each other. We got a dog, which is my baby Chloe, and we moved in together just because it was easy. He was living alone, I was living alone, and it was just like, why don't you just move in with me? Now, looking back, now that my frontal lobe has fully developed, I'm like, what were you thinking? You had only known this man in a different country like for 6 months. Now, granted, like, I guess you know deep down, or like your intuition kind of gives you like that gut feeling of like, this is someone that I do want to spend the rest of my life with. But I do believe that relationships have their stages, and each stage should be lived through. Kind of like teenage years, we are so eager to grow up and be adults and just do whatever we want, whenever we want, with whoever we want. You look back at your teenage self and you're kind of like, why didn't you just enjoy being a teenager? Like, why didn't you just enjoy being a child? Like, every single stage in your life should be lived, because today you are the youngest version of yourself. You gotta experience all the things at their own pace. Now, there is no right time for like how long you should be engaged or how long you should be with someone. Although I do think that if you are in a committed relationship for more than 2 years and you guys aren't even talking about moving in together, or like, you know, like getting engaged, or no type of like serious conversation, and that is something that you want, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. In my case, my man was quick. He was like, you're what I want. Like, I have no other questions. Like, let's do this. He tells me, I don't know if it's true, but he tells me that like one of the first few nights that we hung out, he told my best friend's boyfriend, which is like how I met him, that he was gonna marry me. Like, do we believe him? I don't know. But if it is true, like, that's so cute. And it just goes to show that if he wanted to, he would. But as a woman, if you're watching this as a woman, you set the pace and you set the tone and you set the rules for your relationship, and it's up to you to kind of like slow things down. It's the same thing as like, if it were up to a man, like first night, like y'all would, you know, what happens with us is that, and I can speak from like my own personal experience. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know like the actual facts behind this, but I can tell you from my personal experience, when you are in that first year, in those first few months, you are so in love with this person. Like, you just want to be up there literally like 24/7. It just makes sense. Like, you're spending so much time together. You literally cannot imagine like being with someone else because like you love them so much. People should be together in a committed relationship for at least a year. A year or a year and a half before moving in together. And I say a year or a year and a half because usually they say that the honeymoon phase fades after a year or a year and a half. And it's not because I want you to like not be in love with your man before you move in together, but it's because after that year mark, you kind of like, it's like for the first 12 months you have like these blinders on, and then after you hit that 12-month mark, or you know, after you've had a few fights, you really start to understand like who this person is, and you see them for like who they are. You start to understand like their good side and their bad side, because none of us, not me, like not you, none of us are perfect. It gives you that time to either like work through the things that maybe like you're not okay with. In my case, there were a lot of things that were culture shocks for me. Even though I am Dominican, I was born and raised kind of here until I was like 4. But then like my culture and like my social norms and all that is basically like American, because from the age of 4 to 22, I had only had American friends, American relationships, grew up in American schools. So there were a lot of things that I came back and I'm having my first like real grown-up relationship, living with someone and in a different country and with a Dominican man. Like, it was a lot. Now in my case, I was blessed by God that my man is actually like a good man, and I didn't really like have that many issues. They were just like miscommunication. Like, I come with my own trauma, he came with his own trauma. Like, he came up in a broken household, I came up in a broken household. There was like a lot of things, and there are still a lot of things that like we have to work through, as like any couple does. But moving in together in those 6 months, like, it just like took what would be a normal fight and it just like blew it up into something that like it did not need to be all that. That mixed with all of the feelings that you have because you're only like 6 months in with this person that you're in love with, that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and the pressure of like, we got to make it work, like we moved in together. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't recommend it to anyone. If you are currently in a relationship and you're thinking about moving in with your man, which is probably why you clicked on this video, I'm thinking, you gotta ask yourself, are you in love with them? Do you want to spend the rest of your life with them? Do you get excited about a future with them? And do they feel the same way about you? Do they feel the same way about you? Because that's important. I see a lot of women suffering and putting themselves through so much, and it's all because they love the man more than the man loves them. A lot of times whenever I see these relationships and the ones that I experience like in my own personal life, it's usually the woman is trying so hard to make it work and the man is just like indifferent. Like, he's okay with having her in his life, but like she would die for him, and he's just kind of like, oh well, glad you're here. But he definitely gives off the vibe of like, I could replace you. Like, if I had to put someone else in like this position, like it would be okay. Listen, if there is one thing in life that I've learned, your man needs to be in love with you just a little bit more, just a little bit. As someone that is thinking about moving in with their man, their girl, first of all, I would recommend getting that little game that I created, because I think it's a really fun way to get to know this person, to get to know a lot of things that you got to talk through before you know, move in together. Finances, expectations, social expectations, sexual expectations. All of these things are good to like put on the table, because if you think you're going into this relationship and you're someone that doesn't cook, let's say you don't cook. You don't cook at home, you don't cook for yourself, you love to do girl dinner, but then your man is expecting like a home cooked meal every day. what do you think is gonna happen? He's gonna start to resent you because you're not making this meal for him, but it's something that you didn't even know that he wanted from you. So if you don't have those conversations, then you're already like starting off on a bad foot. So the game is really fun. It's a lot of questions. You can make it into a little date. Pay attention to how they answer and make sure that they're answering honest. Now, the truth is that no matter how many questions you ask this person before you move in together, there is just another level of getting to know each other that's gonna happen once you do move in together. And that's inevitable. I understand that, but there are steps that you can take before, you know, it's like before you start driving a car, you got to take some classes, okay? You got to learn some rules, you got to learn what the different signs are. That way when you start driving a car, you don't go out there and like, you know, cause an accident or, you know, kill someone. And that's the same thing that happens with this relationship that you're in, that you're thinking about taking that next step. You got to do the work beforehand so that when you're in it, you're more prepared to handle these things that are going to come at you, because you're gonna have fights, you're gonna have moments, you're gonna have bad days, and those are all things that you have to learn to deal with. Once you do get to know someone and once you do understand their needs and they understand your needs, and it's really a back and forth, and I think it never stops because my needs today are gonna be different than my needs like a month from now. I love living with my man. I love that I get to come home and he's here every single day. I love that we get to sleep together every single night. I love that we get to watch a movie every single night. I love that I'm having a bad day and he's here to comfort me. I love it. But we had to work to get to this point. There were days where we didn't know if we were going to stay together because we just had to get to know each other while living together. And I think that's something that can be avoided, should be avoided. And in my case, like I said, I am thankful and I feel grateful that we have been able to work it out, but I know a lot of couples that don't. Walking away from a relationship where you guys live together, like right now, I'm watching all this like TT and Cody drama unfold on TikTok. She had to like pack up her whole life in a car and she is God knows where. It is a lot harder, so just save yourself the heartache. Let your relationship develop at the time that it needs to, and don't rush things, because walking away from a relationship after living together, after getting a dog together, after live together, it's gonna do more damage to you than just boyfriend and girlfriend. You live at your house, I live at mine, and we sometimes come together. When you live together, you are literally merging your life with this person's life into one, even though you're not married, but it does become one life, because it gets to a point where like your social time is my social time. We go out together, we eat together, we go to our family events together. There is really no like, you do have your alone time because like obviously like I work, he works. Sometimes he goes to events like without me, like work events. And sometimes he has like basketball with the boys and like those things, but you're spending 85–90% of your free time with this person. My point in this video is to protect you from making a commitment and making a decision that could change the course of your life without really thinking about it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I miss YouTube so much. Like I love talking to the camera and I am so excited to make more and more videos. Let me know what else you want to see. I have so much to update on my life. Like I feel like it's been a year or 2 years since I picked up the camera. I'm engaged. I've been living in the Dominican now for like 2.5, almost 3 years. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't and comment down below what else you want to see. Bye.